Luban of USA, Mr. Des Maharjan Rosnet, Professor M.P. Regni, Mukunda Ras Khanal, and many more. The main objective of WWA is to cultivate inner peace in human beings through the emotional literacy. So we are here at 9th International Conference entitled to Global Peace Through Emotional Intelligence Education, Organizational Management and Positive Psychology for Inner Peace, Business Success and a Better Life. Now, without further delay, I would like to welcome our chairpersons for today. Our chairpersons for the event are Mr. D.M. Basnet, President and International Organizing Secretary of 9th Conference. I'd like to welcome you with a big round of applause. And another chairperson for today is Engineer Ram Rohan Panta, President of GPF Nepal and patron of 9th Conference chairpersons of program called I'd like to call him to the dais area, to the main area. Now I'd like to welcome our chief guest, Professor Dr. Leknath Sarma. Please welcome him with a big round of applause. He is a Vice Chancellor of Nepal Open University, and another guest for today, our special guest is Mr. Matt Perelstein. Let's welcome him with a big round of applause. He is the CEO of EQ for Peace Worldwide Inc. USA and Chief Patron of WWA. Our another guest for today is Dr. Ashish Sen. Let's welcome him with a big round of applause. Dr. Ashish is Chairman of Forum for Emotional Intelligence Learning, India, and guest of our 9th International Conference. Our another guest for today is Professor Dr. M.P. Regni, Chief Advisor of WWA and Chairperson of our 9th International Conference. We have Professor Dr. Silu Maharzan Vajracharya, Dean Faculty of Management and Law. Let's welcome with a big round of applause, please. Please come to this stage. Another guest for today is Mr. Manmohan Kumar Bhatrai. He is the board chairman of Samriddhi Educational Foundation, Kathmandu, Nepal. Our another guest for today is Professor Dr. Arahan Sthapit, convener of 9th WWA International Conference. I'd also like to welcome Professor Dr. Sisir Subba, former Assistant Dean of Humanities and Social Science TU. Dr. Sisir Subba, let's welcome him with a big round of applause. Last but not the least, Mr. Lal Bahadur Singh, CEO of Burkhas Finances Limited, Delhi Bazaar, Kathmandu. Once again, I would like to welcome and thank all the mentioned dignitaries in here. Now, without further delay, I'd like to request. the chairman of our World Without Anger, Mr. J.M. Bosnate, for the bouquet presentation to Chief Guest, Professor Dr. Leknath Sarma. Thank you, sir. Now to guests to stand up for our national anthem. Dr. Arahan Stapit, convener of 9th WWA International Conference. Let's welcome him.
Chief guest, Vice Chancellor of Nepal Open University, Professor Dr. Leknath Sarma sir, special guests, distinguished personalities on the dais and on the floor, delegates, participants, students from different countries, journalists, and ladies and gentlemen. I esteem it my great privilege to extend my very warm welcome to all of you on behalf of the 9th WWA International Conference Organized Committee at this scholarly gathering in Kathmandu, Nepal. First of all, I would like to welcome Honorable Chief Guest and all other guests of the function. I would like to heartily welcome our distinguished keynote speakers, Matt Bernstein, CEO of EQ for Peace Worldwide USA and Chief Patron of WWA. Dr. Ashish Sen, Chairman Forum for Emotional Intelligence Learning, India. Professor Dr. Subarna Vajracharya, Faculty of Management, Tribhuvan University. Professor Dr. Shishi Subba, Tribhuvan University, and Dr. Abdul Alim, Regional Advisor for Social Policy, South Asia for UNICEF. I would like to acknowledge with special note the presence of Professor Dr. M.P. Regmi sir, Professor Dr. Shiromanandar Vajracharya ma'am, Dean of Faculty of Management, Nepal Open University, and Chairperson of the 9th WWA International Conference Advisory Committee. Mr. Manohar Kumar Bhattarai, Board Chairman, Samriddhi Education Foundation, and Mr. Lal Bahadur Singh, CEO, Gurkhas Finance Limited, Delhi Bazaar. I also heartily welcome other highly accomplished professors and eminent scholars and dignitaries. They are with us to provide their valuable guidance. and support in making this historical event a grand success. I would also like to welcome the technical session chairs, paper presenters, volunteers, media people, and all the participants from different countries. I am delighted to inform you that we have papers and participants from 8 different countries: Bangladesh, India, Nepal, Pakistan, the Philippines, Sri Lanka, South Africa, and USA. Welcome to Nepal, the great land of Lord Buddha, who championed on world peace through his teachings on non-violence, compassion, wisdom, and right efforts, which the theme of this international conference has tried to capture. As the convener of the 9th International Conference, I'm amazed and highly inspired to have your gracious presence today. I'm also looking forward to your active participation at this August gathering of scholarly people and researchers. The purpose behind organizing the 9th International Conference at this academic institution, Samriddhi Education Foundation, that runs Samriddhi College, Samriddhi School, Nepal this year, is to provide an opportunity for leading academicians, researchers, managers, practicing psychologists, students, industry professionals from around the world. The major purpose is to promote network very strongly, and secondly, to embark on fruitful discussions on latest advancements in interlinked domains of peace, education, behavioral sciences, including psychology, organizing behavior, human resource management, spiritual doctrines and philosophies, and also delve into research benefits for each other's domain progress. To this end, our collaborative efforts, I'm confident, will make its mite of contribution. I'm confident all of us conference participants get actively involved in its development, as well as we are effortful to make this conference a benchmark for future in the area of global peace through the studies of emotional intelligence, psychology, as well as through the studies and practices of organization management and people management. Formally, in these 2 days, we have 2 plenary sessions, 7 technical sessions, and 1 discourse workshop on emotional intelligence, followed by a cultural program after the valedictory session tomorrow. And informally, at the sidelines of the conference, we can also have academic and research deliberations and palavers. Hence, we
everyone. The title of the book is Psychology for a Better World, a cross-cultural anthology on emotional well-being. And I would like to request Professor Dr. Leknath Sharma to do the honors. you so much, sir. I'd also like to request you for our abstract book release of our conference. Peace, business, success, and a better life. Of International Peace Prize 2019. The Dean of International Peace Prize is an outcome of a long struggle and hardship of the Dean of Peace, Dr. Dean Van Leeuwen, to set an example in the world that it is peace that everybody is in need at this time of anxiety and tension. The person who deserves this award should be someone who has richly contributed in areas such as emotional literacy, peace, positive psychology, and psychosocial well-being anywhere in our world or society. And the award is being provided to, the awardee is Professor Dr. Arhan Stapit of Nepal Open University. I would like to request our special guest, Mr. Matt Perelstein, to hand the award. Academician with 23 years of industry experience in banking, development management, and English language journalism. And as said earlier, he deserves this award as he has done so much of contribution in the areas such as emotional literacy, peace, positive psychology, and he has continuously been convener of 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Gratitude, happiness, yeah, of course, really, words fail me today. In the past, I had worked in the area of communication, but today, words really fail me to express my feelings. I would like to thank all those who were involved in facilitating me with this award. Thank you so much, the organizing committee. And I would like to dedicate this award to my dear father, great educator, Mohan Stapit. Coincidentally, it is the 20th death anniversary today of my father. 20th death anniversary today. So I would like to dedicate this award to my dear father, who passed away 20 years back. And I'm today because of what he did for me. Okay, so with this award, I feel now the responsibility has increased. My responsibilities has really increased. And I have many things to do here towards peace education, emotional intelligence, people management for sustainable economic development. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
We would like to congratulate you once again. And yes, we are very sorry to hear about your father, but he gifted us such an amazing person. And thank you so much once again. And now we have another award to give, WWA Visionary Achievement Award 2019. And this award celebrates leadership. This award is awarded to Dr. Lakshman Sakya, Vice President of World Without Anger, WWA Nepal. And I would like to request our chief guest, Professor Dr. Leknath Sharma, to do the honors. request our special guest, Mr. Matt Perelstein, to do the honors, and the award is being presented to Ms. Kripa Sigdel Shrestha, lecturer of Padma Kanya campus, Tribhuvan University, Nepal. Is currently, he has received the award on her behalf. Now, I would like to request Professor Dr. M.P. Regmi, Chief Advisor, Advisory Committee, and is in the Advisory Committee of WWA and Chairman of International Scientific Committee of 9th International Conference. So I'd like to request Professor Dr. M.P. Regmi for a few words about the program.
Honorable Chief Guest, WWA President, dear Mustard sir, and Mr. Matt Perelstein, CEO, EQ4 Peace, and who has to lead us now, and he is our leader now. Yes, and I am very glad that he has stated the personal peace. One should have personal peace, self-peace within self, and then interpersonal peace among the persons, and then ultimately world peace. And in Vedas it has been said that Shanti, 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 Vanaspataya Shanti. The peace must be in plants, in smaller plants, and in the universe also. And I congratulate Professor Arana Sthapit, DOIPPA awardee, Dr. Lakshman Sakya also, and Professor Dr. Shishir Subba, Director MCP, Mr. L.B. Singh, Gorkha Finance Limited, Kathmandu, yeah. And I welcome you all to this August gathering and Samriddhi. Samriddhi means prosperity. Prosperity in the campus, prevailing. College for today's WWA conference. There are nearly 30 papers to be presented. I again welcome to all the scholars from, I think, Philippines, India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and South Africa, isn't it? Very good. And Nepal also. I should not forget my country also, yeah. Now I wish cordial thanks to all. Thank you all. Thank you very much for me. Yes.
MP Regmi, Murari Prasad Regmi, he received his postdoctoral advanced research training from Freie University Berlin, Germany in 1922 and previously served as the head of the Central Department of Psychology at Tribhuvan University, Nepal. Let's applaud for him, please, once again. Now, I would like to request Professor Dr. Silu Manandhar Vajracharya, Dean Faculty of Management and Law of Nepal Open University, to express her few words for the program.
Thank you very much. Respected Chairperson of the inaugural session of this 9th International Conference, Chief Guest, distinguished dignitaries of the dais and the floor, distinguished scholars, and all the respected guests. First of all, I would like to wish a grand success of this conference that has brought in very pertinent issues. For example, peace, emotional intelligence, positive thinking, and management. And I feel myself proud of being part of it. And this is particularly important today and in the days to come, when the challenges are emanating at a geometric pace, while we think we have become more capable, equipped with ever-developing technologies and abilities. The world has never before been as prosperous, but galore of deprivations is growing. And we have become richer, but simultaneously we have become sadder, disjointed, and wearisome. Why? Because we have not been able to manage our lives, our resources, our inner resources, or while zeroing on development, have simply missed our mission. And we are forced to even change our measures of success and reverting back to happiness kind of indicators, since development simply has to fail to develop happiness. What it means is that we are losing sight of meaning to gain one thing, and we have reached or reaching a stage where the question of end and survival has started to come, whether due to ever increasing dissatisfactions, enmity, and anger for distributions, inequity, discriminations, gaps between haves and have-not, exhaustion of resources, or abnormalities in the living beings. Many youth, the hope of further themselves, are becoming directionless, disoriented, that, if not checked, could bring disasters. So, it is not the affluence, rather peace and the happiness, cooperation and sharing, and the benefits to all, happiness to all, sarvajana hitaya, sarvajana sukhaya. Mottos have to be recollected and inculcated among all. One major derailment, I believe, has occurred because we have lost faith and understand the meaning of religion. All religions of the world has useful words in this direction. And let me recollect Buddha's teachings here that I believe has a very strong sense of direction to overcome from myriad of woes and disorientation. If we really want to lead a happy life, provide one to every living being, our body, kaya, speech, baka, and the mind, chitta, should be pure. And only these will lead to positive thinking.
Professor Dr. Silu Manandhar Bajracharya, and she has conducted a number of research works at national and international level, and we'd like to thank you for your contribution, ma'am. Now, I would like to welcome Mr. Manmohar Kumar Bhattarai, Board Chairman of Samriddhi Education Foundation, for his words on our program today.
Distinguished guests in the dais, chief guest, special guest, and of course I shouldn't be forgetting the chairpersons of the event. In the interest of time, I'm not taking the names of all our dignitaries here, but then again, I would like to acknowledge their presence. On behalf of Samriddhi Education Foundation, we are indeed very honored to be the co-organizer of this very important event, and would like to extend a very warm welcome to you all in this event. Talking about Samriddhi as an organization dedicated to education and committed in particular to what we call well-rounded development of our students. We are really pleased to be part of this mission aimed at promoting emotional intelligence and EQ education. I think that makes perfect sense for us, because in our school, when we have this board meetings and all, we keep talking about quality of education that we want ourselves to be committed to. But as I was also sharing with Matt this morning, that we have not been really put a finger into what really quality education means in terms of the area that it should encompass and all that. I think this needs to be looked into the current context where we seems biased towards EQ, IQ rather than EQ. I mean, especially in education setting, I think we are hung up with this idea of the need to promote IQ rather than EQ. So that's where I think EI as a critical part of the equation when it comes to quality education seems to be the missing link, seems to be the missing element. So I think that from that perspective, we can perfectly 100% relate to the event of today. And as I told you, we remain committed to factor in the role of emotional intelligence education in our deliveries and in the way we teach our students, in the way we groom our students, and in the way we come up with strategies for preparing them, preparing them for future. This is indeed our honor, as I mentioned you earlier, to be part of the process. And going forward, we would be interested in engaging more deeply with all the actors that have sponsored the event today, and we'll be more keen on the ways through which we can really operationalize the insights and the key takeaways of the event that is happening between today and tomorrow. So, for example, we'll be interested in working more closely with EQ for Peace and also Global Peace Foundation and War Without Anger going forward, in order to make sure that we sustain the initiatives here in Nepal, and we do that more importantly through educational setting. Now, I understand that there are many international delegates attending the meeting, and I would like to wish you all a very pleasant stay in Kathmandu. And also would like to urge that you take some time out to explore Kathmandu or Nepal a little bit more. I know some of you are here for a few number of days, I think. But then again, there's few places that you can go to and enjoy the cultural, have some interesting cultural encounters. You can go to a place like Bhaktapur and Patan, and if time permits, you can fly all the way down to Pokhara or probably take a mountain flight. So again, we would like to wish you a very pleasant stay, and would like to wish the event a grand success. Again, I would like to end by reaffirming our commitment for the theme of the conference today. And again, as I told you earlier, I would like to urge my colleagues at Samriddhi College to come up with ways of engaging more fruitfully, more productively with all the actors involved in today's event.
Manohar sir is our board chairman of Samriddhi Education Foundation, and it's always a pleasure to hear you, sir. Thank you so much once again. Now I'd like to request our guest speaker for today, Professor Dr. Sisir Suppa, former Assistant Dean of Humanities and Social Sciences at Tribhuvan University, Nepal. Let's welcome him with a big round of applause.
Mr. Chairman of this conference committee, chief guest, special guest, academician, researchers, ladies and gentlemen. Directly or indirectly, I have been affiliated to this organization since last 10 years. And it has been organizing conferences, international conferences. Well, I'm very fascinated by the topics and the themes that the conference has raised years and years. These are the positive aspects of human functionings and well-beings. And apart from that, in every conferences, it is giving us an opportunity to share our knowledge, experiences, our findings, and also, in many ways, to solve the human problems. Whether it is related to individual, family, group, community, institutions, or organizations. And these conferences, since last 8 years, have been providing some new ideas, knowledge, and experiences. Talking about the themes, as you can see, these are very positive. Positivity or positive aspects enhances our lives. If you look at these things related to emotional literacy, emotional regulations, and similarly emotional intelligence, positive psychology, about fulfillment, business and management, where the people interact with each other, they try to solve problems, they help each other, try to achieve collective goals, and so on. And that enhance the well-being of the individuals. These themes are very important for the individual, family, community, and the organizations. And related to these things, they are more focused on behavior, cognitions, emotions, and especially about the motivations related to individuals and the groups. So, based on these themes, since last 8 years, there are lots of activities, sharings of their findings and so on, especially from different organizations and academic disciplines such as psychology, business and management, education, philosophy, health, sociology and anthropology. So they are being participated by different faculties, institutions and organizations. And they have raised different issues related with the individuals. For example, about the personality, emotions, motivation, about leaderships, work ethics, about self-image, self-esteem, physical and mental health, and about prevention and interventions. These are very exciting. But talking about all these qualities and characteristics, the interactions, the cognitions, emotions, feelings, and behaviors, we basically come to the psychology. These are all about psychology, whether on single individual, whether in family, community, whether in groups, organizations, or in institutions. Psychology is about growing. It is about growth. It is about strength. It is about the potentialities. And also it is about developing and maintaining relationships, whether on family or different organizations. Psychology about happiness, it's a well-being, it's about mind, cognition and behavior. But talking about psychology in this sense are the findings that researchers have shared with us. The reality is slightly different. Slightly different, by slightly different, I mean to say that there are lots of problems that exist in the society, in the groups, organizations, or within the individuals. And directly or indirectly, the solutions lies in the science and social sciences, art science or soft science. It's very important that we should do research, disseminate it, share with other peoples, because life itself is very tricky. If we don't share these ideas, we will have problems. By we, I mean to say each and every individuals. For example, there is one share in Hindi. उम्र भर गालिब यह भूल करता रहा, उम्र भर गालिब यह भूल करता रहा, धूल चेहरे पे थे, आईना साफ करता रहा. It's very important to understand human psychology. Psychology about the self and psychology about the others, about others. Psychology of the groups, psychology of the organizations. The more we know, the more we understand. The more we understand, the more we can explain it. And that explanation helps us to control it. Positively control it. And this awareness gives us happiness and leads to well-being. So psychology always gives new insight about the things we know better or we think we know better. Psychology is exciting scientific disciplines. It explores, examines, and come up with new findings that helps the individuals, family, community, group, similarly the nations. So how psychologists do these kind of activities? Basically, it depends on theories. Psychologists have theories and they have principles, they have methods, Based on these theories and principles, the way they use methods, they apply it to the individuals. And in any sectors, when we use psychology, and let me remind you, there is always psychology, even you are alone. If you are interacting with another persons, yes, there is psychology. In group, there is psychology. The more you understand other people, the more you can deal with them. That's business and organizations. And similarly, psychologists use these principles and methods and try to modify, try to bring wellness within the individuals, make them aware of their own potentialities and the strength. In other words, we can say that psychology is the meeting points of all sciences. If there is no individuals, if there is no relationship, if there is no interaction, psychology does not exist. So as long as there are people, psychology is there. So WWA has been giving us this message. Interact with the people, share the experiences, share the findings, understand the people. It will bring wellness and peace within individuals, peace within the community, groups, and in the nations. Thank you.
Guest, Mr. Matt Perelstein, CEO of EQ for Peace Worldwide Inc. USA and Chief Patron of WWA, our special guest of honor. Let's welcome him with a big round of applause.
I just want to thank and remember our good friend, Dr. Dean Van Leuven. Thank you for honoring him today. I would not be here without him. I'm here to fill his big shoes. If you were here last year or times before, you know who he is and that he has made a huge impact on emotional intelligence in the world. We started EQ for Peace together, and then we were working with the curriculum, and then so sad he's passed on. So here I am. I also want to thank DM, who has put together this fine event and many fine events and done an incredible number of things in the community for Nepal and beyond. He's a go-getter, makes things happen, and gets people involved, and it's been wonderful. So it's very nice to finally meet him today and many of you. So thank you for that. Now, I wanted to talk a little about, we have some bad news. So, bad news in the world. As some of the speakers have mentioned, there's a lot of negative things happening in the world today. The global peace index is going down. People feel less safe. People are less trusting. 8 of the last 11 years, the global peace index has gone down, and it's very sad. And I think we need to do something about that. We've found with many research, much study, that a lot of our social problems today have to do with people not knowing how to deal with their emotions, violence, abuse, addictions, divorce, suicide. I don't know if you know, but the suicide rate in Nepal and in India and in the United States and in the world, in Japan, is going up and up and up. It's very sad. Kids now do not know how to deal with their feelings. They don't know what to do with them. And so once things get very bad, they don't even know what they're called. We don't have any way to speak about them and nobody to talk to. And so we're left with them, we're stuck with them, and if they get bad enough, then they choose to opt out. And so the suicide rate has gone skyrocketing now. mental health problems, even physical health. Numerous studies are showing that if you don't deal with your emotions properly, over time, it starts eating away at your body and creates so many physical problems. So many physical problems. And, of course, war. Much of war has to do with people not getting along, aggression and viciousness, and we created war that we think can be avoided. So, in the United States also, just mentioned that, as you probably have heard, there's so many shootings going on. The mass shootings are just awful. We're embarrassed. I'm embarrassed to say that there's also skyrocketing. Technically, mass shooting means 4 or more people were shot or killed, and there's more than one a day. More than one a day. They don't even report them so much anymore. We have some reporters here. They don't even report them anymore. It's not that interesting because it happens every day. That's so sad to me. There's a festival near our house for garlic. It's a garlic festival. Seems like a very safe thing to have a festival about. They shot about 17 people or something. And while the guy was shooting, somebody in the audience said, "Why are you doing this?" And he said, "Because I'm angry." Is that how we deal with our anger? We don't know. We don't know how to deal with our anger. We don't teach people how to deal with our anger and sadness and fear and guilt and shame. We don't talk about those things. So they don't know. Kids don't know. And we as adults, it's our responsibility to teach them now. I'm so happy that emotional intelligence is going up and up and up in popularity, so we can figure it out, so we can pass this on. Our kids do not know. And what's the number one entertainment in the world today? Anybody know? Number one entertainment in the world. Not movies, not sports, not, what is it? Video games, right? Video games, and some of the video games are awful. You know, they're just so violent. Number one video game is Grand Theft Auto, where you just, if you have any problem, you just run people over. Just awful. So that's the role model that kids have. And we think we can do better. We think we can do better. So I could go on and on about bad news. I won't. Here's the good news. EQ. Emotional intelligence is the good news. I think it's here to change things. I think it's here to save the day, actually. So they've done numerous studies. Like I said, it's emotional intelligence now is number one subject for master's and PhD thesis in the world. Number one by far now, increasing very much. Makes me very happy. They've done studies of schools and school districts that are teaching emotional intelligence to the kids. They have the pro-social behaviors where kids get along. Kids are engaged in their own education. If you are a teacher, you know you want people to want to learn and to be responsible for their own education. Well, emotional intelligence helps kids do that. So pro-social behaviors going up, anti-social behaviors like guns, violence, drugs, skipping school, fights, all that is gone down in those districts. And they were surprised to find that after 5 years, this study covered 900,000 kids, that in the United States there are standardized test scores that the kids are rated on these scores. And they went up also 11%. The test scores went up 11%, which is not what everybody was surprised at that, because what that means is that your EQ actually helps your IQ. Isn't that good news? I think that is wonderful. That was a great surprise. It makes me very happy. Mental health, a lot of things doing better. They're now required. Mental health training is now required in most states in the United States, and DM is personally getting emotional intelligence training into numerous schools in Nepal, in Kathmandu area, and all over Nepal. We've done, over 60 schools have taught emotional intelligence now. That also makes me very happy, and it's making a difference for kids and the teachers. School counselors are now required in all schools in India. I don't know if they are here in Nepal, but that is another good news. There's a company called 6 Seconds. They're the largest EQ trainer in the world. They are working with the UN. The United Nations is now getting involved. The United Nations, who's the biggest peacekeeping force in the world, is now realizing that emotional intelligence is the way to go, that we need to add this in order to get peace. So they have a World Children's Day. It's November 20th, so it's coming up next month. They do what they call pop-up festivals, and they just are kind of random. If anybody wants to give a festival, and any of you, if you want to, it's free. They give you all the information that you need to take to these kids and show the kids a little bit about emotional intelligence. They have 1.3 million kids signed up now. They did 800,000 last year. They have 1.3. Their goal is 1.5 million by November 20th, which is 3 weeks away. And so again, it makes me very happy. And they're trying to teach them some very basic things. I don't know if you can see this, but this is 6 seconds. It says, think, feel, act. Think, feel, act. Most kids do not know, most people do not know that we think and we feel, and then we act based on our thoughts and our feelings. Most kids don't know that. They also don't know, this is my biggest thing, is what I call emotional responsibility, that our thoughts and our feelings are ours. They're ours, and we made them, and we can change them if they're not working for us. Nobody makes us feel angry. Nobody makes us angry. Nobody hurts our feelings. We do. By ourselves, actually. They do what they do, but our thoughts and our feelings are what goes on inside, and we can manage those. And another thing that I think is the most important to teach people is that we have emotional responsibility for ourselves. We have thoughts, we have feelings. Our thoughts and our feelings become our actions. We decide what to do based on those, and we can manage those. So UN is getting about, another thing, Dr. Arhan will like this one. I don't know if you've heard yet, but the World Economic Council has determined that emotional intelligence is in the top 20 most important skills to learn for business. Most important skill, emotional intelligence, in order to be successful in your business, in your career. For 2020 and beyond. It gets even more important as it goes. So they're realizing everybody, school, work, and home. I call it school, work, and home. What we do at EQ for Peace, we're trying to get school first. Okay? Dr. Dean told me that. Curriculum first. This is what it's based on, curriculum first. So, I don't know if you guys have seen some of Dr. Dean's work. This is very simple. This is Life Without Anger student manual. It's actually fairly simple. The concepts in here, these are taught from 7th grade on up. DM has done an amazing job of getting this in front of a lot of people. This is his workbook that he's done with that. It's now been translated into 5 different languages. Here's one of the books, Life Without Anger, that Dr. Dean wrote. Here's one that was translated into Telugu in Indian dialect. Here's the one in Nepali that DM has, thousands of these he's printed and given to the kids so that they can have. And we train the teachers. They give the books. They don't cost very much. They're very simple, small books, paper. And the kids go through the class, and then they give the book to the next class. So it's a beautiful thing. Here's another one that Dr. Dean wrote. He wrote 14 of them. I didn't bring them all because they're all in my suitcase. They're very heavy, but you get the idea. And here is one of his t-shirts, Life Without Anger. He also had one, Dr. Dean was funny that his wife was very involved with this, and so he made one that said Wife Without Anger, which we also have. So, just fun. Anyway, I'm just giving you some background on this. And so I feel like there's hope. I feel like WWA is doing a fantastic job. I feel like we as educators, as people who know about emotional intelligence, it's our responsibility, not just something fun to do and interesting, but actually our responsibility to teach our kids and to teach people about emotional intelligence. So I call it each one, teach one, EQ. So if you know about emotional intelligence, please share it. Please tell someone else, anybody else, a little kid, somebody at the grocery store, your mom, anybody. Please tell them about emotional intelligence, that feelings matter. We think we can make decisions strictly on our cognitive level, strictly logical. We can't. We have thoughts, we have feelings, they both are important, and we have to pay attention to our feelings because we never did before. So please spread the word. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you for all that you're doing. And spread the word about emotional intelligence. It matters. Feelings matter a lot. So, thank you.
That our emotions matter. He is Mr. Matt Perelstein, the CEO of USA-based non-profit organization EQ for Peace Worldwide, and he has been teaching emotional intelligence for over 33 years in the private sector of Western United States and was named on Who's Who Worldwide Professional of the Year for 2019 for his work in emotional and peace education. Let us clap for him once again. Now, I'd like to welcome Dr. Ashish Sen, the chairman of Forum for Emotional Intelligence Learning, for his few words.
I think speaking in a country which has given an icon on world peace, compassion, love, God Buddha himself, is a privilege and a moment of pride. Thank you for inviting me. I thank the organizers and Mr. Bassnett in particular who made my coming such a breeze, a wonderful breeze. So I also thank Matt for the insights as well as inviting me over to this forum. In this increasingly volatile, uncertain, complex and ambiguous world, I think we need emotional intelligence more than ever. It's a challenge. It's a challenge, but a delightful challenge. The problems are many, but then we also number pretty large, so we can sort out the problems if we put our will to it. I believe this forum, this conference, is a cauldron, nay, I believe the crucible from which many thoughts will arise, many solutions will be forthcoming. Confluence of ideas will lead to meaningful conversations which will impact people here and the world beyond. It's a place where so many people from so many countries have come. I'm sure their diversity would be the reason for great solutions. I've been working on the subject for almost now about a decade and a half. It started small, but why did it start? I worked in organizations, and believe me, we don't need the researchers like a David McClelland or a Daniel Goleman to tell us, though I have interacted with Dan quite a few times, who is a guru on emotional intelligence and worked with Richard Bartz as another guru for quite some time. We don't need to be told that you need emotional intelligence. When we see the results in organizations, 30% of the people's performance comes from the climate that is created by the boss. The boss, the kind of leadership that depict toxic or resonant, dissonant or resonant, creates the mood of the people, subtracts or add performance in terms of creativity, productivity, getting along with others, and more importantly, feeling good and making others feel good. That is 30% of the performance is impacted by them. Can we do something about it? Absolutely. My own work in many organizations, both as a consultant as a practitioner in organizations, have seen significant differences from in before and after. We have targeted people who had very good reputation of giving results, but with a lot of dead bodies. Do we want collateral damage? Or do we want the groups to prosper together? Prosperity with lot of collateral damage in organizations is simply no more acceptable. We recognize that. Also, I think I agree with Matt when he says in the US they have found for the students helpful, and Forum for Emotional Intelligence Learning in India did a lot of work with a lot of schools. Those are schools which are deprived, they need it most, they don't have the funds to do anything about it. So we train their teachers. And the academic performance in the US recorded at 11% higher for students who have EI. At the end of the day, if you know your emotions, if you can label your emotions, you have a choice. If you don't have a choice, you are impulsive rather than intentional. And that's such a tragedy. Are we impulsive? Are we intentional? Right? So there's a huge amount of benefits that accrue from emotional intelligence. And I think this forum, we will have sharing of thoughts, how to see that we can channelize our efforts in a global way for the globe. So without more of, inputs, I would like to see how we can get inputs from all the participants that makes our day more lively, more interesting, more fun. Thank you so much.
And now we have our honorable guest, Chief Guest, Professor Dr. Leknath Sarma, Vice Chancellor of Nepal Open University. I would like to welcome him for his speech, and let's welcome him with a big round of applause.
Respected chair of this program, the inaugural program of this 9th conference, special guest, and all distinguished personalities, guests, scholars, researchers, managers. I think I see in some of them are very excellent persons here. People at dais, as well as people in front of the dais. Ladies and gentlemen, if there are some media person, I like to acknowledge them too. Namaste and good morning to everybody. And on behalf of Nepal Open University, as well as personally myself, I welcome you all to Nepal. For those who are coming from abroad, and also the Nepali participants participating in this conference, let me give that privilege too. This is great pleasure as well as honor to me to have such an opportunity of being a chief guest and having the opportunity to inaugurate such a big, such a marvelous and important and valuable conference that is related to emotional intelligence, which is relating itself to world peace, peace in everybody's mind and bodies and everywhere. It's my great pleasure, and it's also a very historic moment to my life too. The main purpose of this conference is to propagate knowledge of emotional intelligence, maybe some of the training skills, and maybe some of the practices and researches that have been undertaken in different parts of the world, sharing each other and making people empowered and utilizing such knowledge and competencies to make people more aware about their personal self, understand themselves, analyze their emotions, analyze their behavior and act and react for the desired level of outcomes that usually every institution and the community and the person's desires. So it's a very valuable work. This conference is going to take place within these 2 days. I highly appreciate for the initiative undertaken by different organizations to organize such important conference and a very important and valuable topics of emotional intelligence in the field of psychology, especially maybe clinical psychology as well as behavioral psychology, and this should be the part of educational psychology too. I'm also from the Faculty of Education. I taught about 34 years. I spent there as a mathematics teacher, sometimes training to the teacher, work as a training specialist. What I see in our curriculum, even in Nepal as well as in other parts of the world, our special guest already mentioned there are some improvements in incorporating such things in our curriculum, formal school curriculum, formal curriculum as well as training, non-formal and informal set of courses. But we have not given due importance to this emotional intelligence sort of things in our curriculum, while training teachers, training managers, training even leaders of different societies, business people. I think it is very important to introduce these things. We give much emphasis on cognitive psychology, cognitive intelligence, and more on social cognitive intelligence, thinking, problem solving, understanding, knowledge, and this and that. But these parts, these affective parts, these feeling parts, these emotional parts, which is very important, is not given due importance. So from this conference, with the discussions here and the publication, you will be giving some of the insight, some of the very concrete ideas on how we can incorporate these things in our formal teacher education, management education, and others training sort of the courses. I expect that will come out as the results of this conference. There will be 6 or 7 keynote speeches and also many papers that are based on research and the experiences and some of the reflections too. And there will be good discussion about all these things. And this sort of academics exercising will bring something new to this land too. And on this very special occasion, I would like to pay my special tribute to Dr. Dean van Leeuwen for his contributions to this moment, Life Without Anger, writing a book. So it's my privilege also to tribute him. I think he has rightly pointed out the issue, anger, for destroying peace in this human world. We all know that this war, the present war, is going to be very, very difficult. And it's uncertain too. The climate change, destroying everything, war, conflict, everything we see, and that ultimately will affect the human values, human civilization, and the earth itself. Sometimes I read NASA reports and they show how the heavenly bodies are moving, how black hole is swirling big stars, bigger stars like Sun and others. And sometimes they show that some asteroids are coming near to Earth. So what does it mean? We are in a very unstable. But people are thinking that I'm very stable and I can win everyone, I can rule over everyone, and not considering other people's perspective. That is what I feel sometimes. And sometimes I feel that, can a man be without an anger? Without frustration? Without anxiety? No. It's the human innate, things, facts. But the important thing is how to manage this anger properly. If I do not have anxiety, a level of anxiety while I am studying, I will not study very deeply. A level of anxiety is necessary. But if you enforce more anxiety to the people, to the students and to any other person, what happens? Frustration comes, depression comes, and he will in the last stage of his life. So the most important thing is how to manage these things to make a very right person in this world, in the society, in the family, in the community. Sometimes I feel irony, or I question myself. There are big nations in the world, advanced nations in the world. They have done lots of scientific, technological progress, economic progress, and they are democratic too. And they say it's their right to preserve peace, stability, democracy, and everything. But the big leaders sometimes, and some nations, feel proud when they develop very devastating sort of warheads, bombs, and if they can develop such things and they feel, oh, our people will be safe, our country will be safe, and we will be in peace. Is it true? Why it is happening, and even in big leaders, big thinkers, and the advanced nations? So sometimes I question myself, and whether it's an irony or it's a reality, I do not understand. But this conference is focusing on the world without anger, world without depression or something like this. So how could we analyze these things in the world? For the world peace within the community and the people. So sometimes I feel that way, and I do not get answer. What's the answer? What's the solution for that? Emotional intelligence is a kind of ability and also a trait in a person that can help him or her to identify and analyze and control and manage the emotions while working. Sometimes I feel very angry when my subordinate or the other people do not do what I feel, what I want. I feel anger. I should take action. I should do something. And then I try to analyze myself, what happens if I show this anger, this source of if I explode brutally to someone or some individual, what happens? I analyze myself and then come back, oh, I should not do this, I should go this way. All the time I should be in peaceful mood and then convince the people taking time. So as a leader, as a manager, always should put his or her emotion under his control to manage things very well. And these sorts of conferences, study, discussion can help people to understand these things and make things happen very properly in business, management, prosperity, whatever we call it. And at this moment, what I want to request to all the experts, researchers, professors and scholars, how it could be possible to design different courses, different curriculum that could be relevant to formal, informal and even non-formal sort of education. It may not be a curriculum, one curriculum itself for emotional intelligence and then personal management sort of thing, but it could be some parts within curriculum. So I would like to get some ideas from this conference as well as from the experts who are working here, and we are going to develop teacher education program in a very different way, and if possible we want to incorporate some things in our curriculum, because teachers always need to be in a very peaceful and calm mood to teach students, to make students learning happen. So I also request for this. Finally, I wish grand success of this conference, and also express my best wishes for the international delegates. They're happy and enjoyable, fruitful stay in Nepal during this period. And if you have taken some more days off from your duty, go and visit Nepal, see mountain, even Tarai and hills, and the people, how they behave, how they work, how they survive. I request for that also. Finally, lastly, I also once again offer my heartily thanks to the organizers for giving this opportunity to me. It's a very rare opportunity people get to be a chief guest. It's not a very small thing. It's a very great thing. And also thank you all who directly or indirectly contributed to make this conference happen. Thank you very much. And also, because of being in a position, in a tenure, I got the opportunity to be the chief guest, but on dais and here also, there are my gurus, and I would like to respect them, honor them. Thank you very much. Namaste.
We are here on 9th International Conference with the theme Global Peace Through Emotional Literacy, Wellness and Psychology of Workplace Behavior and Effective People Management, organized by WWA and GPF Nepal, co-organized by Samriddhi College in collaboration with Nepal Open University and EQ for Peace Worldwide Inc. USA. I'd also like to remember our dear supporters, Bachchan Saving and Credit Cooperative Limited and World Emotional Literacy League WELL, and our DOIPP prize was sponsored by Gurkhas Finance Limited, and our other supporters are IUNUN, likewise United Nations Sustainable Development for Emotional Intelligence, and Tarkeswar Municipality. I would like to remember as well as thank all our supporters. Now for our vote of thanks, to present vote of thanks, I would like to welcome Engineer Ram Rohan Panta, President of GPA Nepal and Chairperson of our program today. Let's welcome him with a big round of applause.
Namaste. It's my honor to thank you for your presence. It's been almost a decade journey with All Without Anger and our DM sir, our Guru, Lakshman sir. I remember meeting Dr. Dean Van Leuven in 2010, around 2010. That time I chatted with him a few bit. Then I asked him, Dr. Dean, it is possible, all without anger? Then he responds me, don't worry, young person like you will be there. Will be there as a young person like you, John. Then I respond, thank you, Dr. Dean. I'm also happy to be partner, to found partner, young partner like you. Though at age, Dr. Dean Van Leuven, but he has that zeal to spread the message of peace. As Mr. Matt also presented, his numerous work, which we get benefited, also especially in Nepal, that mantle, my dear friend DM Basnaji and friend of WWA taking forward. So my first thank goes to them, word of thank goes to them for this mantle they are taking forward. Also, I'd like to thank you, Matt Patterson. So we have our new leader, international leader, who is encouraging us, who is guiding us to go forward. Also, I'd like to thank you, our chief guest, our distinguished guest. Let me be more formal and to do my job well. I'd like to thank you, our co-organizers, Samriddhi College, also Nepal Open University, Central Department of Psychology, Tribhuvan University, Bachchan Saving and Credit Cooperative, Tarkeshwar Municipality, Sal Trading Corporation, University of Malaya, National Association of Psychological Science India, Gurkha Finance, Buddha Stupa, CPSS, also the Time of Nepal, the media partner. Also, I'd like to congratulate Dr. Arun Stapit, awardee of Dean of International Peace Prize. Also, Lakshman Sir for WWA Visionary Achievement Award. Our friend Ms. Kripa for WWA Volunteer Award. And also, I'd like to thank you, all of our international delegates, our national delegates, for your partnership. This is multi-stakeholder partnership, as your scholarly work also needed on this age. As I'm from technology background, though I work in social arena, I'm very much helpful. I'm very much encouraging on this time. This is the right time to move forward. As we have that much technological advancement, we could spread the message of peace, message of hope, message of compassion, message of love, in real sense. Though our forefather, they doesn't have this kind of tool, the advancement which we have. So let's think positive and use of technology. We could be connected more personally. The connection is very important. Also, your presence is very important in this technological world. So we could hopefully able to bond each other. So I like to welcome and thank you, our delegates from India, also from South Africa, also from Sri Lanka, USA. Hopefully, we could have new inspiration and also able to enlighten ourselves. Our festival, Diwali, the festival of light, coming on after a few days. Our international delegates, hopefully they're able to experience our culture. Also, I like to wish their safe stay and enjoying the Nepalese culture. As our Nepal Tourism Board says, once is not enough. Hopefully we'll have more chance in coming days to mingle with you. Last but not least, I'd like to thank you, our volunteers, also Rajdhani banquet team for their hospitality. Thank you very much. Namaste.
To welcome Mr. D.M. Busnet to present concluding remarks. He is the founder president of WWA and chairperson of our program.
I would like to welcome all the participants to celebrate our 9th International Conference in Nepal on Global Peace through Emotional Intelligence, Education, EQ and EI, Organizational Management and Positive Psychology for Inner Peace, Business Success and a Better Life. My special thanks go to entire respected guests in the dais, Chief Guest of Honor, Professor Dr. Leknath Sharma, Vice Chancellor, Nepal Open University. Special Guest of Honor, Mr. Matt Perlstein, CEO, EQ for Peace Worldwide International, USA, and Chief Patron of World Without Anger. Respected Chief Advisor and Chief Editor of Professor Dr. Murari Prasad Regmi and all valuable persons in the respected seats. Likewise, respected participants, paper presenter, WWA, Board of Directors, Advisory, Board members, and ladies and gentlemen. My respect always go to the late Dr. Dean Van Leuven, the Dean of Peace, who propagated peace and harmony through emotional literacy in and around the globe. He is no longer in this universe, but his notion and model of universal peace is immortal as long as the world exists. The issue of peace has been popular day by day to remedy the unenthusiastic communication behavior between each other. The area of emotional education was adopted by the United Nations members as the Sustainable Development Goals SDG to ensure that all people enjoy peace and prosperity by 2030. Studies conducted in the United States on emotional intelligence have shown that people with a higher education quotient, EQ, report fewer physical alignments, less anxiety and depression, and a greater use of active coping strategy for problem solving. Emotionally intelligent people recognize their strengths and weaknesses, know how to manage stress, can work well with others, are socially aware, and develop strategy to help them reach their goals in life, all of which contribute to greater levels of happiness. This 9th International Conference would not be possible to organize by the research scholars alone. I wholeheartedly thanks for the valuable work and contribution from respective international delegates from Nepal, Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, Nepal, Thailand, Sri Lanka, South Africa, and United States of America. The World Without Anger has had its first international conference jointly organized with Lumbini Buddhist University in 2009. Then with the Global Peace Foundation, GPF Nepal, and with the international partnership with the World Emotional Literacy League, WWA, USA. National Association of Psychological Science, NAPS, India, we are happy to collaborate this 9th international conference with Nepal Open University. I would like to express my sincere appreciation to Board Chairman, respected Manohar Sir, Samriddhi Education Foundation, my respected teacher, Mr. Naresh Prasad Shrestha, Group CEO, Samriddhi Educational Foundation, for offering to be our co-organizer this year. WWA is working with the EQ for Peace Worldwide International USA since 2018 with direct involvement with the Matt Palestine using the emotional intelligence education to help achieve to UN SDG. EQ for Peace Worldwide International coordinated with the late Dr. Dean Van Leuven's family and was able to receive Dean's estate as a donation in the amount of $2,400 to teach 1,300 kids of Life Without Anger Emotional Education LWAEP during the fiscal year 2019-20. EQ for Peace also volunteered efforts to implement and run the program and activities of World Without Anger, such as organizing the conferences, teacher training on LWAEP, LWAO workshop, and editing and publication of World Without Anger International Journal. World Without Anger and EQ for Peace Worldwide International USA are seeking funds to implement the LWAEP in more schools across Nepal, India, and beyond to get rid of the negative anger and fear worldwide. I must also thank to Professor Murari Prasad Rengmi, Chief Editor of World Without Anger, and Dr. Antigona Sokas, Senior Lecturer, University of the Bedford University, as Associate Editor, to publish the World Without Anger International Journal series. EQ for Peace Worldwide International initiates to publish the upcoming World Without Anger Journal Volume 9 and 10. Likewise, I would like to thank Gorkhas Finance Limited for sponsoring cash for the Dean of International Peace Prize (DOIP) for the last 3 years. I cannot forget the Professor Dr. Arun Stapit, International Convener on this conference, and those who helped me directly and indirectly are my heroes on my EQ journey. Likewise, we are able to release the World Without Anger International Journal, both 7 today, as well as which is published by Cambridge Scholar Publishing, United Kingdom. We are going to publish WWA Journal Volume 8 and 9 from United States in 2019 in near future. I sincerely hope you may greatly benefit from this conference and enjoy presenting your fruitful papers and stay on auspicious occasion of Diwali, the National Lighting Festival of Nepal. Enjoy this historical event of WWA. Thank you very much for joining us. Namaste.
Move for a tea break, and I would like to request photographer to take a group picture of our distinguished guest in the dais. Thank you so much. You can move towards the dining area. Thank you. Professor Murari Prasad Khimidi.
Without Anger is the name of the Dr. Dean's curriculum. But I think what we're finding is that it's very difficult. He did Life Without Anger. He could do it. If you knew him, he was very calm. He was a very wise man, and he could do Life Without Anger. We believe that he could. I'm not sure that very many people can do that. What his point was is that we get to choose, we get to decide, we get to be angry or not be angry based on our thoughts, right? Our thoughts create our feelings, and that was his point. That's the main point of the curriculum that I showed you earlier, the books. And he was saying that you get to choose, so you could live a life without anger. It's possible, okay? However, most people, I'm not so sure that they can do it. So we're almost like we're teaching life with anger. In a way, we're teaching people how to deal with their anger. A couple of the keynotes said, it's important that we teach anger. It's become a specialty of ours. I don't think we have very bad role models in our society, and we need to create good role models to show people how to deal with their anger. So, in a way, it's life with anger. Emotional intelligence is very good for me. It's very good for me and him getting along, but what we, as Dr. Rejmi said, the next logical step beyond emotional intelligence is peace education. We can actually teach kids how to be peaceful, not just kids, all the way up. We can teach people how to be peaceful, in inner peace, interpersonal peace, social peace, and ultimately someday leading to world peace. That's our concept. I think it's going to work, and I'm excited about our possibilities with that. As I mentioned earlier, emotional intelligence affects us at school and work and home. At schools, we're starting with the schools, and it's to educate even little kids. Little bitty kids can understand their feelings. They can understand that if they thought that this was a happy thing, they're probably going to feel happy. If they thought it was a bad thing, they're going to feel bad, right? So little kids can understand it, all the way up to PhDs in positive psychology and emotional intelligence and all kinds of things. So all the way up. So school, work, and home. School first. I believe that, and what DM is doing also focusing, is that if we start with a top-down model where we talk to the directors of education for a country and for the school districts, and then it comes down. Country, school districts, schools, teachers, kids, right? Boom, start at the top and come down. Also, at the same time, bottom up. We teach the kids how to do emotional intelligence. And what we're doing is we're slightly putting in that a number of the exercises for the kids is go home and do this exercise with your parents. So the parents aren't coming to the school, but the kids are, and the kids can teach the parents. So ask your dad, how does he deal with his anger? I bet nobody ever asked him that before. How did his dad deal with his anger? All right, and we can kind of slightly do a bottom-up model as well, and it goes up from there. What we're doing is starting in the middle with teachers and parents. Because if we can train the teachers, you get an obvious, ripple effect where the teachers will be able to work this into their curriculum. Also, there's two different ways that we can teach emotional intelligence. I'm sure there's more than that, but two main ways are you can have a whole class on emotional intelligence, which is what DM is doing, right? And Life Without Anger is a whole class, whole semester long class. Or you can take your existing class, if you're a teacher, and kind of slide in examples and have things up on the board. And we call them classroom activities. And you can add emotional intelligence to your existing curriculum. I think that's going to be the most popular way that it happens. It's difficult for a school to add a whole class in emotional intelligence, right? It's costly and it's more difficult. So if we can teach the teachers how to put emotional intelligence into what they're already teaching, even in math. Can you imagine teaching emotions in math? You can do it. It can be done. I've seen it done. By the way, real quick, my favorite exercise, even little kids can do, and they're doing this all the time, is called an emotional check-in. All they're doing is they put up on the board all the different feelings, sad, anger, afraid, guilty, shame, all kinds of things, and a picture of each one, and they go around the class once or twice a day, and they ask the kids one word, what are you feeling right now? That's it. What are you feeling right now? One word. If the kids can identify what they're feeling right now, that does identification, awareness, separation, validation, connection, right? If a kid says, I'm feeling angry right now, but 3 other kids are also feeling angry right now, that means that your anger's not that big a deal. I mean, that seems silly, but it's not that big a deal. You don't have to shoot anyone because you're angry. You don't have to shoot yourself because you're angry. You're just angry. It's just a feeling, and it'll probably pass. And it's based on your thoughts. And other kids are feeling the same way. You're not alone. You're not different. You're not weird. It's just a feeling. It's just a feeling. So, I love that exercise. I know a number of teachers are doing it. It only takes a couple minutes each day. It costs nothing. It costs nothing whatsoever. And it has so many benefits. I just love that. Also, another way, I mentioned before that in the United States, mental health education is now required in all schools in many, many states. And the fellow from New York who started the whole thing, they got it mandated in New York, and they started the whole thing. He said he's the supervisor. I don't remember his title, but he's in charge of the school districts in New York. He said one of the problems with teachers is they say you're gonna add things more to my plate. How can I'm already swamped. I got too much to do. How can we add more to my plate? His reply was, "This isn't adding to your plate. This is the plate." I love that too. He says, if the kids commit suicide before they get out of school, we didn't do a very good job, did we? This is the plate. So, parents and teachers are the key, and we're focusing on teachers, sorry. We could teach teachers how to teach emotional intelligence. There's a lot of teachers in here, there's a lot of professors in here, there's students in here. We can teach teachers how to teach emotional intelligence. We can start at the top and come down, we can start at the bottom and go up, and then of course we can do side by side, which is where people don't feel alone. They can share things, they can connect, they can know that everybody, that they're not nuts, they're just feelings. They're just feelings, it's okay. So, this is supposed to be an introduction to the sessions for this evening, for this afternoon and tomorrow, and school, work, and home. That pretty well covers most of them. A lot of them are work, okay? Great, and Dr. Sen mentioned earlier that if the manager has a good emotional intelligence and has a good attitude, right? It makes a huge difference. Would you say 30%? 30%, that's huge, just from his attitude, or her attitude, excuse me. And so if we can teach people how to deal with emotional